I'm sitting here thinking about, holy cow, it is already Friday again. And thinking thinking about one of the last videos I made last week on Friday. I was at the water park, and then I also had made one in my backyard, and just thinking about all the decisions I had made a week ago. I guess it would be 2 weeks ago. So now this week, thinking back about all the decisions and the feelings that I had. Beginning of the week was really more focused on trying to get done with an edit. So Monday I started the edit. Tuesday I locked in with the artist, cranked it out, and then I had the next day to start working on one of my vlogs that I did on Monday evening. And Monday evening. And I was like thinking about, I'm just thinking about like, I started getting frustrated with myself because that vlog isn't out yet. I recorded that Monday. I didn't put it out yet. And the reason why I'm frustrated with that is because I started to put photos on top of it. I started to add photos onto it because I thought it was pretty cool to see some of the work that I was doing with my photography inside the actual video. And so I'm one of those people that once I start doing something, if I said, okay, let's do that, I think that's cool, I don't like going back on what I've decided to do. So the fact that I had started this and it was like a 30-minute video. So imagine now I have like 90 photos or 60 photos. I don't even remember how many that I end up having to put in this video because they're only showing about 10 seconds at a time. And the reason why I'm putting them in there is because I'm practicing a few things. So I'm practicing showing my work off. I'm practicing color correcting that work. And I'm practicing making these vlogs. It's been, I posted about 20 of these already. And so I was like, I wanted to do something different and just keep playing around with them. I was just having fun and creating. But I'm realizing it's taking me so long to color correct some of these photos because they're just like, some of the photos were initial photography that I had done where I was trying to figure out how to expose correctly. And then some of the photos, I don't have a color correction on the actual photo when I initially took it. It's like technical, stupid jargon. Like I was taking photos in the daylight with tungsten film, and I didn't have a tungsten color corrected filter on my camera. So any daylight photos that I was getting were turning up really blue, basically. And so I'm having to really go in and color correct them. And I'm not a colorist. Like I would say that I know what I like in terms of contrast. I know what I like in terms of saturation. And I know when a photo feels off in terms of whether it's white balanced, but the technical part of like adjusting it and like using the tools to adjust it to make it feel natural. Those are things that I'm working on and I'm getting better at. And so, with all that crazy amounts of color corrections with these photos, I did an Instagram live yesterday, just kind of showing them, and I'll probably do another one today and I did a YouTube live stream as well, me going in there trying to mess with them. So you can check those out if you want, and I'll do another one today. But I wanted to get a video out for you guys because I hadn't been posting that one, and I'm like, I just kept thinking, again, these are thoughts that within the book that it's expressing similar things of like, this is what I'm trying to train my mind to get better at, to understand, to not think about other things other than just getting the work done and just like moving on. These vlogs were supposed to be like, you record it and put it out, don't worry about it. But the artist in me, the person that likes to create, is saying, why don't you play around with it every time? Like do something different every time. Don't do the same thing over and over. Like what you would see many times with podcasts. You would see them in the same location, same setup, same lighting. Everything's exactly the same. And I'm not trying to I wasn't physically thinking be different than that, but I just don't, my initial thought is I don't want to do that. I want to just create wherever I want to create. If I feel like creating upstairs today, I will. If I feel like I haven't created my room, like my actual work room in a long time because I was just like the it's the easiest setup. I figured out. I already know how to do that setup, and I just kept doing it over and over. And the technician, the person that loves to like find a new environment and set up in a new environment and just be in a new space. I just enjoy it. I enjoy finding new frames, going and framing in a different position I never did before, because it reminds me a lot of the feeling that I get when I'm out filming for a music video or filming for a short film, like seeing a new space and saying, how would I photograph this? And so it's like working on a few things for me when I do stuff like this. And I'm sharing those thoughts because I hope it resonates with you as you listen to it and like connect with me on a deeper level of just listening to yourself and understanding it's okay to want to color correct 90 photos and take, I don't know, 4 or 5 days to get done with a 30-minute vlog, even though I could have just put it out. I started to relax myself yesterday. It's like, hey, it's okay. Like, you want to do this because you want to. There's no timeline. There's no one saying that you have to get this out. So enjoy it. And so I had to, then my mind started to shift, relaxed. And I said, why don't I just go live on Instagram and YouTube? And I figured out how to, in that process, I figured out how to live stream from my laptop to Instagram Live, which was really cool. I've been wanting to figure that out. So I figured it out. It was like a problem that I had that I solved because I wanted to continue to share information on like what I've learned and my experiences in general with other people and just connect with other people in that regard. And so it was all done out of pure want of just wanting to do it and not of feeling that I need to. And anytime I'm creating with that pure intention of just wanting to do it, it always is fun, and I find myself enjoying the process more. I'll say the only thing that I got to get used to is creating with a live audience, because I'll have this tendency to want to talk, feeling the need to fill the void of silence by explaining what I'm doing or like just having conversations. And so it does take me, I think, probably longer to color correct or to work in front of other people because I'm talking versus like I'm just like solely focused on it. But again, I understand that's what I was doing. So I enjoyed the process. I thought it was fun. I think at most sometimes it was like 5 people in there, or maybe at the lowest point 1. But it just reminds me again of those early days of just like I would go live not caring. I wasn't expecting anybody to be in there. I would just do it because maybe someone would come in and connect. So yeah, man. And so because I haven't been able to post something, I read about 30, 40 pages. Normally I was only doing like 2 or 3 with you guys. And so let's get going. Let's like talk about this. And you know what I'm going to do, because I'm going to read one chapter with you guys, one section with you guys, which I have yet to read. And that one is called How to Choose, which is about how do we decide what direction to take. So I'm in that position right now. So I wanted to experience that with you guys, but I'll go back and I'll read some of these highlighted things, these highlighted chapters that I went over by myself. And I'll just kind of give you some of the highlights that I took away. So on page 289, there's surrounding the lightning bolt. And I'll just kind of paraphrase some of the stuff. So an explosion, it starts with an explosion of information arrives in an inspired moments. How can we avoid becoming fixated on these lightning bolts? Basically, the whole thing talks about that feeling of like getting a rush from like a spark of an idea, and like avoiding like that spark, like avoiding waiting for the spark, basically. So he says, a more constructive strategy is to focus less on the lightning bolt and more on the spaces surrounding it. The space before, because lightning does not strike unless the right preconditions are met, and the space after, because the lightning dissipates if you do not capture it and use it. And I love that. I love that analogy of like not waiting around for it. And I like the thought that I have yet myself to understand, or like at least pay attention to the idea that it will not stay around. Once you have it, if you do not use it, then it will go away. So like think about all those times that you've had like random ideas. Oh, that would be a good idea for a movie. and then you just say it, and then you don't write it down, or you don't like elaborate on why it would be a good idea for a movie or something like that. So, or you're in the moment of working on a project and you think of an idea for the project, and instead of going right to work, you just kind of like, oh yeah, I'll think about that when I open it up later. So you don't know when it's going to happen. And so he's saying once it does, then use it. I'll kind of keep going on here. While we can't command a lightning bolt arrival, we can control the space around it. We accomplish this by preparing beforehand and honoring our obligation to it afterward. I skip forward. Artists are ultimately craftspeople. Sometimes our ideas come through bolts of lightning, other times only through the effort, experiment, and craft. In a way, these small aha moments are also bolts of lightning, less vivid, that still illuminate our way. So I didn't. There was a chunk in between that the small aha. So I'll come back a little bit. He says that idea that we are craftspeople. So we got to remember that we're working on our craft. So not always are we going to be having these bolts of lightning, and sometimes we have to just keep doing the work without the bolt of lightning, without that energy, mainly because we're just doing, we're starting to, we got to remember that we have to keep training ourselves, keep getting better at our art, our craft, regardless of whether or not we feel like it. That's always a conversation. So just a good reminder to just keep working, no matter if you feel good or not. And I'll put my thoughts on that. I think when you don't feel like working, if you're having a really bad day and you're not feeling like doing anything, getting yourself to do something is so hard that if you can even like remotely get yourself in the direction of it, meaning like getting your ass behind the computer and writing a half a page versus five, or 5 pages instead of 20. I'm speaking this, and I'm trying to get myself to realize it myself, you know? So for me, it's like, my direct example of is like having 90 photos. Okay. If I'm having a bad day and I have 90 photos color correct, I need to maybe at least try to do as many as I can until I'm like, okay, I can't do this anymore. And whatever number that is, that's us working on our craft, right? It doesn't matter the number that you get done. It's the fact that you put effort into doing it. And then the next day you do it again and again, and then slowly just keep chipping away at it. It's worse for us to just sit there and dwell, basically. Sit there and dwell. Don't dwell. It says the only way to find out, okay, so he says, a moment of inspiration may excite us to begin a long exploration to discover its practical form, only to arrive at a dead end. The only way to find out is to engage wholeheartedly in the work. Without diligence, inspiration alone rarely yields work of much consequence. Making great art may not always require great effort, but without it, you'll never know. If inspiration calls, we ride the lightning bolt until the energy is exhausted. The ride may not last long. If inspiration does not come to lead the way, we show up anyway. So again, he keeps trying to like teach us that stuff. And I will say this, that is one of the hardest things for us to do as creatives, to show up even if we're not inspired. I don't have the answer. I just know what I feel, and I can relate to it every single time I think about it. I don't feel like it. Don't want to do it, you know? I say that all the time. I don't feel like doing it. Nope. So, I don't know. Like, I think the only thing that I could think without being stubborn, not being a stubborn dick, asshole, is for me to open up and keep recognizing the moments where I don't feel like doing it, and that's when I should be doing it. Because anytime I've ever, I'm not saying I do it all the time. I'm saying that it does happen to me. But I know when I still make the effort to do it, even if I don't feel like it, then I'm always feeling better about the fact that I made an effort to do it, and I'm not conforming to the idea of just being a lazy piece of shit, pretty much, So these conversations that I'm having about the work always is related to the work that is my personal work, not the work for other people. When I'm hired to do something, all I want to do is make sure I get it done and get it done on their timeline. So it's easier for me to get the work done for others. It's harder for me to get work done for myself. If I want to work on my own personal things, Instagram, YouTube, like these things that I'm doing right now, these are harder for me to do. Writing for myself, that stuff is harder for me to do than paid work. Because I know when paid work comes in, then it's like, I know what I need to do. Whereas personal work, it's up to me to decide what I decide to express and give to the world. So the only real time thing that I can connect with is my photography, these vlogs, educational pieces that I made in the past, and my movie. Those are like real things that are personal things that I struggle with. So this is helping me chip away at being better at those things. Okay, so he says, I'm gonna speed through this one more. I'll give you just the highlight stuff because, and what I'll probably do is I'm gonna break this video up because it's already it's gonna be probably like a 20 something minute, and I'm just gonna give you highlighted stuff, and then I'll make a separate video about how to choose because I know I'm gonna probably go off on that one. Okay, so this next one it's called 24/7 staying in it. Do what you can with what you have. Nothing more is needed. That's what I highlighted. Then he says, the artist's job is never truly finished. This is because the artist's job is two kinds, the work of doing and the work of being. Creativity is something you are, not something you do. It's a way of moving through the world every minute, every day. At any moment, I'm gonna push forward in the highlighted things. At any moment, you're prepared to stop what you're doing, to make a note or a drawing, or capture a fleeting thought. It becomes second nature, and we're always in it in every hour of the day. Staying in it means a commitment to remain open to what's around you, paying attention and listening. Looking for connections and relationships in the outside world, searching for beauty, seeking stories, noticing what you find interesting, what makes you lean forward, and knowing all of this is available to use next time you sit down to work, where the raw data gets put into form. This is why it's such great importance to remain aware and present at all times, watching and waiting. Short one, 24/7. So he's saying, we're two people. We have the work of doing. We have two jobs, the work of doing and the work of being. Man, he puts it, he makes such a short chapter, and it's such like a great elaboration on things that I've heard in the past when I was learning about filmmaking. Someone was, I wrote the DP, I quoted this DP a long time ago, or like a filmmaker, and I don't remember who said it, but he was saying, pay attention to life because you have to recreate it. And that in the early stages of me being a DP, or me being a creative or a videographer, I don't even know what I was. I was just a person trying to figure it out, want to make movies, and I didn't know what that meant. It's like, pay attention to life because you have to recreate it. And I didn't know anything about lighting really. I knew how to light to the idea of like, oh, you have to turn a key light on, and you have to do a backlight, and you have to do fill light and whatever. Like, I knew that, but I didn't understand quality of light. I didn't understand how to make things look natural, or how to specifically make things look natural. And then the other side of like emotion, how to convey emotion. So that's what this reminds me of. when he said, when I heard that pay attention to life because you have to recreate it, I started to just like try to understand what that meant by watching light. I started to watch light and see what light did. This was 2015 probably. And through time, I got immensely better at lighting without even knowing technical things. Seeing how light hit, how soft it was, the colors of it, and then trying to recreate it myself without, again, knowing technically what I was doing. And just like I started to approach it different. Same thing with, I think that I think the next biggest stage that was really hard for me to understand was, which is now, was creating things for drama and like creating real drama about it, with like creating drama that feels real, that feels natural, that connects, and that will connect somebody that's watching it to an emotional state, driving emotion out of them, whether it's happiness, sadness, fear, excitement. Seeing in moments of real life when I feel like that, when I feel depressed, when I'm feeling depressed, when I'm feeling happy, when I'm feeling connected to my wife, when I'm feeling excited to talk to a friend, when I hear conversations happen, like what were the conversations were, why were they funny? Those are things that I started to pay attention to more, and it does bleed off into my writing. It does bleed off into, the frames that I want to choose, the feeling that I want to have with my photography. So that's a great reminder for us to pay attention to life. We got to do the work to create. We got to actually be the physical craftsman. But even outside of work, we're working, we're thinking about things, we're seeing things different. And it's exhausting. It's exhausting. At some time. No, not really. I mean, like, I would take that back. I don't think it's exhausting. I think it's something that you just start doing and like you just enjoy doing. You enjoy seeing it. I think other people might feel like you're exhausting to them. Like, oh my God, shut up. I don't care. Get in that light. Hold on. Get it right there. No, turn a little bit. Okay, that's perfect. Hold it. Okay, one more. Wait. Let me swap a lens real quick. I think this one's gonna be better. I think I want to do it this way. Hold it. Hold it. Okay. So yeah, pay attention to life, man. The next one is spontaneity that he talks about. This is something I went over in Instagram Live, and I did like a live reading with him. But I will just kind of highlight. I'll just read the highlighted things that we talk that I liked about this chapter. He says, artists may prize spontaneous works, thinking there is some high purity of specialness held in works channeled instead of carefully prepared. But you can tell the difference between art that sprang to mind and art that was crafted with forethought. Let me read that again. But can you tell the difference between the art that sprang to mind and the art that was crafted with forethought? And what does this difference matter? Whether it took months or minutes does not matter. Quality isn't based on the amount of time invested. Great artists often labor to make their work appear effortless. Sometimes they may spend years meticulously crafting and refining a composition to appear as if it was made in the day or eaten in a moment. There are others who romanticize planning and preparation. To them, spontaneous work feels less valid. Consider neutrality. Just do the work and see what comes. I'm like jumping forward to to just my highlighted stuff. So there's a lot of stuff in between that here I'm not reading. If you are an artist whose process is intellectually based, it may be a benefit to play with spontaneity as a tool, a window to discovery, and an access point to new parts of yourself. I really love this one because it related to me. If you're an artist if you're an artist whose process is intellectually based, it may be a benefit to play with spontaneity as a tool and a window to discovery. and an access point to new parts of yourself. I love that one because I think I'm more of that. I'm kind of like, I do love spontaneity. I'm learning to love spontaneity. I'm learning to like to create in real time, but it's been so hard for me to get back to that because I used to create in real time, not think about anything. And then my focus was like, I want to know what I was doing. And that's what I talked about on IG. I want to know how to use my tools technically. I want to know, like, I'm passionate about knowing the technical side. So I'm spending time learning it, spending time like how to prepare, how to be good and great at what I do. I want to repeat the things that I do. I don't want to just do it on accident and not know how I did it. Like, I want to do it again, you know? So I've definitely created formulas for certain things that I've done in terms of like, okay, if I use this or this and this, and it will give me this. But you get to a point now, I got to a point now where I enjoy now going back to spontaneity. Can I use real time? Can I react in real time and still create something really cool? And just like pay attention to life, pay attention to what's going on, the things that we just said, pay attention to life. I want to be a street photographer. I want to be making things with a little improvisation and just listen, hear, catch moments and be like, okay, that was it, you know, and that's feeling more natural because we're all in it, right? Spending time on set to evolve a scene because we haven't found it yet. We wrote something down. We're trying to get it. We want to get it. We're all trying to get the thing, but then it's not working. What's going on? Like it's not. It doesn't feel right. It's looking kind of boring. What is it that we need to fix? We don't have the answer right away. And a lot of times they're looking at the director to find the answer. Or then now the director's job is to utilize the talent around them and explore and say, what is better? What do you think? I don't really like it. I'm not really sure what's better, you know, like, what do you think? You know, and you're trying to like prod. And that's something that I discovered recently. I think Shake Something music video was the first time I realized in all my music video career, that's how stubborn I was to like sticking to a script, that you do all the work to prepare and then you're going to have to let go. Working like that is not easy to break free. If you spent all that time preparing and all of a sudden you have to break free, that's something that I had to learn through music videos and understanding that's honestly, and that's exactly what you hear into how people make movies sometimes. And some of the great artists and actors, directors, actors, and DPs, a lot of times they get to a point where they understand their talent so much that they start then realizing it is about allowing spontaneity to just open up the door to like what's about to happen, and then pay attention and just say, okay, cool. Like this is the process. Like I've been worrying so much. All the worrying blocked my focus to see that we're actually creating the real art right now, like in front of us. We're really making art in front of it. This is actually might be better than anything that we wrote because it's happening naturally, you know, and people are reacting naturally. If you sit down to write with no preparation or forethought, you might bypass the conscious mind and draw from unconsciousness. You may find that what emerges holds a charge that cannot be duplicated through rational means. I started doing this the other day with my movie. I was so proud of myself. I started writing out of the blue because I was like, fuck it. Let me just start writing. I started writing and I wrote like 5 pages and I was like, I loved everything I was writing. I couldn't even write it fast enough because I was on my phone. I couldn't write it fast enough. So I was like paraphrasing and like, okay, keeping myself from going back and editing and just like, no, okay, I'm going to edit later. Just get out what you're thinking. And it was like the coolest feeling ever, and I did it like at 1 a.m. in the middle of the night. And so, and I was like I wasn't expecting to, I wasn't waking up to write. It just came. And so I was like, okay, let me just, Okay. So how to choose is the next one. And then I'll skip forward real quick. I know we're at the 20-minute mark. I know we're at the 20-minute mark. But I want to get these other ones to you real quick. Implications, page 313. Why am I doing this? What is it all for? In the end, questions are of little importance. There doesn't need to be a purpose guiding what we choose to make. When examined more closely, we might find this grandiose idea useless. If we like what we're creating, we don't have to know why. Sometimes the reasons are obvious, sometimes not. When making things we love, our mission is accomplished. There's nothing at all to figure out. All right, I guess we don't got to worry about why we're doing it. It's the fact that we're doing it. We don't got to put a reason to it. Just do it. If you want to do it, just do it. You don't got to have a reason. I'm sure that makes a lot of people that are listening feel better about why they're doing something. You don't got to have a reason. Just do it. Now, again, this is not like written in stone. Like, this is not a rule. This is what he's trying to, like, what I love about Rick is that he's comforting us artists out here that have the problems, that have the issues. He wants to make us feel better. So I'll leave it at that. You don't have to have a reason. Just do it. I don't got to explain any more than that. If you're looking for a reason, there might not be one. Just the fact that you're doing it. You're self-expressing. Freedom. This is the one that I have issues with. I'll say this is the one I have issues with because I'm back and forth on this. Because I'm right now, I'm kind of on the opposite end of what he's saying. But I'll read it. So it's called Freedom. Does the artist have a social responsibility? I've said this in the past. I've already said this, that this is how I feel right now. The social responsibility, because I've had people tell me, I can't wait for you to make things that are actually good for this world. What the hell? All right, thanks. So yeah, does the artist have a social responsibility? The work of art serves its purpose independent of the creator's interests of social responsibility. Wanting to change people's minds about an issue or have an effect on society may interfere with the quality or impurity of work. So he's just like saying, yo, if you're thinking about putting a social issue into it or like trying to convince people on some social issue, you're going to damage your work or interfere with, I guess, the purity of what it could be. I'm sure there's a lot of art, a lot of filmmakers and musicians and people out there that would disagree a little bit with that idea of like, hey, if I stand for something, that's why I'm making it. I stand for a certain reason. I'm making it because I stand on that reason and I believe in that reason and I want to give the world my thought. So it's where I kind of start to feel a little bit disagreement, but I'll go on. It's best to wait until work is complete to discover what it's saying. Holding your work hostage to meaning is a limitation. Work that attempt to overtly preach a message often don't connect as hoped, while a piece not intended to address a societal ill may become an anthem for a revolutionary cause. While a piece not intended to address a societal ill may become an anthem for a revolutionary cause. I definitely think that's probably true. Like something that they didn't want to make, like an anthem for a social justice of some sort becomes it. And that's where it's so freaking weird about the way we work as people, because it could be the worst thing that's being praised, whereas someone that makes something that they feel is more just than the thing does not get any attention. Not really sure how to feel about that. Art is far more powerful than our plans for it. Art can't be irresponsible. It speaks to all aspects of human experience. Art is above and beyond judgment. It either speaks to you or it doesn't. You're free to create what you will. You are not a symbol of it, nor is it necessarily symbolic of you. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I think there's two parts of it. I definitely feel personal. I'll keep it short. Personally, I think that for me, I've said this in the past where I've created things that I feel when I reflect on it now had negative charges in it. I didn't create it negatively. I didn't create it for that reason. So in that regards, I was just creating because I wanted to create something I loved and I enjoyed it, and I didn't have anything other than wanting to make cool things that entertained people. It's like, hey, this is going to be fun. And I just want to make it because it's fun. So in that regard, I agree. I wasn't trying to say anything about the world, and I was just creating. And then sometimes people will take it and they'll shape it however. I had a lady ask me if I felt like the things that I was making was misogynistic. And I was like, no. I think people like whatever anybody that was ever creating on our sets for like ratchet, I call it ratchet music videos. They wanted to do it, and then they just they just had fun. I never had a forethought of like, is this like just or not? But through time, after I had a daughter and like as I understand like the power of what I'm doing and how it's shaping the youth and seeing that the youth need help in creating content that help. The youth need help in regards to help, like seeing positivity in the world and seeing that it's okay to be kind and just. And that has made me want to create content like that. And I'm not trying to sit here and just say, I'm not even preaching any of it. Even this right here, these videos are, that is the purpose for me to express this side of me because I think it's more important. Because this is more of me than people understand. Like people that don't know me and even people that do know me don't know this side of me that deeply until like they see things like this. A lot of people don't speak to me on this level. They don't. Probably nobody speaks to me about things like this and the reason why I enjoy it. And if I do, it's very minimal. And these conversations are the reasons why I've gone so far in my life. These conversations are the reasons that I believe so much in myself. These thoughts and like positivity and reconstructing of how I see the world and what I think about how people judge each other are the reasons I've gotten as far as I could with my just following what I wanted to do. And I'm not saying that I'm some kind of like righteous person. I'm far from it, probably. But I do believe that having positive charges and the positive energy is something that you need in your life because there's so much negativity around us and there's not enough out there. So, when he says like, don't create stuff for social responsibility, I do think artists have some sort of social responsibility to help encourage the youth. That's why when we have like a son and daughter, or when you have kids, you have a social responsibility to raise them. You have a social responsibility to help them. And if you're an artist, if you're a creator, you create fans, you create people that look up to you. It's almost like similar, like you have a fan base, you have people that wonder like what you think and who are you really. And if they don't see that side of you as an artist, like how is there not social responsibility to create something that's positive in the world? I'm not even saying like stand on some kind of social justice thing. I'm just saying create positive energy, create some kind of positive content. I think we do have some sort of social responsibility in it. So yeah, I don't know. I do agree with him when it comes in regards to if you're forcefully trying to put a message in there, if you're like, all you care about is the message, then I don't think that will lead to good art. Maybe it does. Who knows? His opinion is his opinion, right? So I'm sure there's someone out there that made a freaking incredible, had an incredible message. I mean, it's like Jesus, Mother Teresa, aren't they creating art? they're self-expressing. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'll go back to what I think the thing that did help me a little bit was the idea of like, it's best to wait until a work is complete to discover what it's saying. So that line right there helps me with my movie. It's like that idea of I was like, I know what I want it to be about, and I know what messages I want it to say, but I'm too caught on it to where like I'm not developing it faster. And so me thinking on that too much is slowing me down to where like it's like, okay, yeah, just write it. And then all of a sudden, like those messages that you have deep down inside will come out naturally, and you'll see it because you already know what you want to do. So that is a cool message, to like wait till it's done to see what it's saying. And it will probably say what you want it to say because you have that feeling innately inside of you. This is probably one of the first things that I kind of had like a weird, not disagreement, I would say just like a different stance. I would have a different stance on like, I do think we have some social responsibility as artists, as people, to help humanity see positivity. He is creating a positive message. He had a social responsibility to make this book. He's a creative force. He had a responsibility to make this thing. But, you know, I'm sure he wasn't saying that when he made it. So I love what you're doing, Rick. I'm not saying that we got to fight now. I'm not gonna fight you now. We're not gonna box. We're not boxing. But this book it does say amazing things. So, okay, last thing I'll say, because this is the longest one I made, but it's because I owe it to you guys to give you this information. I owe it to you because I haven't been doing it. All right, the last one is The Possessed. This one's kind of a funny one. It just talks about like people that feel that you have to be a tortured soul to be an artist. So it's like artists are often portrayed in films and books as tortured geniuses, starving, self-destruction, dancing on the brink of madness. This has instilled the belief that to make art, one has to be broken, or that the force of art is so powerful that it breaks its maker. And he thinks neither generalization is true. He says, for those called to art who struggle with overwhelming sensitivity, the creative process can be a therapeutic power. It offers a sense of deep connection, a safe place to voice the unspeakable and bare their soul. This does not mean that art comes easily. It requires the obsessive desire to create great things. The pursuit doesn't have to be agonizing. This pursuit doesn't have to be agonizing. Whether you have powerful passion or tortured compulsion, neither makes the art any better or worse. An artist earns the title simply through self-expression as they work in their own way at their own pace. Yeah, I mean, I don't think I'm a tortured soul. I definitely think that I can become, my self-doubt could feel depressing. But I don't feel like a tortured soul. I know people that, I maybe romanticize that idea of like, do I need to be tortured? Am I not good enough because I'm not tortured? Have I not struggled enough? Can I not make work because I haven't struggled enough? And maybe like, that's like what people think. Okay, because I was raised in a better light than another person, maybe I'm not as good. Maybe I can't actually be an artist, but he's just trying to say, hey, you know what? The fact that you're simply self-expressing, that's what makes you the artist. And your art is going to be different and relate to different people. So if you were raised in a great house with a great life and had a lot of great opportunities, it doesn't make you any less than the person that was struggling in a more impoverished family or impoverished upbringing, or didn't have everything they wanted. I think maybe if you had a great life coming up, should probably be more grateful for the things that you've gotten. And maybe like that's what you're needing to learn is gratitude for the things that you have. And then the person that was struggling and is still struggling, most of you people are still struggling to understand to not, it's now your responsibility to grow mentally. It's your responsibility to become a better version of yourself so that you can pull yourself out that poverty. And you're just in a different timeline. The person that grew up in a better environment, their parents or their grandparents or their grandparents, some generation was struggling at some point, and that one of the generations decided enough is enough, and then they started pulling themselves out, and now their family's doing better. But I'm sure it took a while for their family to actually pull themselves out of it, So, but that's not what he's talking about. He's talking about whether or not you should be tortured. So yeah, The Possessed. These are all great chapters. That's on page 323. I'm gonna wrap that up for now, and then I'm gonna go back on the next video and read How to Choose, because that's where I'm right now. I have some forks in the road. And I've been trying to pray to God and listen. So that's what the next conversation will be. How do I choose that fork in the road? Okay, until next time, thank you so much for paying attention, listening, and enjoying this. I don't even know what you call it, but this reaction to, I guess, Rick Rubins, the creative act of way being. I might learn the book title by the end of the book, but there's no guarantee. There's no guarantee that I will. But it's a fantastic book. So if you never read it, and if you've been liking what I've been doing, go check it out. Maybe I should make one of those Amazon affiliate links so that you can I can earn money from these. No, I don't want to do that. Give it all to Rick. He put the work in. All right. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.